So hi there. I hope you get something out of these aura rambles, although there are so many just rambles in there. Still, maybe you could figure out some exercises to do and so on, if you don't see the aura and wish to. And well, now I want to talk about witchcraft. And where to start? There is so much to talk about, and I have mentioned some of it before, and there are videos up still, I think, about that. But my path is not so narrow so that it can be confined in a concept of any sort. Maybe the spiritual anarchist would be the right word then. But yeah, I come from a non-religious family. Came in contact with Christianity, both through school, but also through those Sunday schools that were when you were younger, like, I don't know, 5 or what you were when you went to those on Sundays. You did some crafting and stuff, and they read something, and I don't know. But even then, I had some experiences of sorts, yeah. And later on, I was also very drawn to the occult, and that was actually mainly how I drifted into Christianity. Not only, it was more experiential than a thought process behind it. But I was very curious, and still am, and I explored with those, not Ouija boards, but with a glass, and those similar then anyways. And impossible things happened, and I experienced spirits very, very much, and so on. And I thought, things that shouldn't be possible, generally, as people would see it. So because I understood that this was actually true, actually worked, and then I also realized that I thought about it as good and bad then. If this is one side, there must be the other side. I doubt that highly before. And then I was 14, 13, actually. I was in 7th grade. It was this evangelist, her name was Susanne Lundberg at the time. And she talked about, I remember she drew on that board, on the school, blackboard, you say, yeah. She drew this gap between, like, the person. There were like cliffs on each side and a wide gap in between. And how then man on one side, and then the God, there was this like divide. And then she drew this cross in between that kind of made this path, made it whole, sort of. And something with that I've always been drawn to, maybe mysticism more than the defined, because always when I tried to define it, I lost it, but I also had a very strong connection even then. So when I prayed or anything, I got instant answers. It was like, snapping with your fingers, I just got the answers immediately. And so that scared me quite. I didn't know what to do with that, actually. But it was like, any way that I have turned in whatever direction, whatever you would call then God or the divine, have always been answering. And through whatever the filters, let's say, have been. And I don't know. I don't think that I'm special like that. I think that maybe I was more open or receptive, but it wasn't expected, and I was really surprised. And also I was in his missionary church I don't remember what I was doing there. I was not old, maybe 14 then, or 15 maybe. No, I don't know. I know the date. I'm not sure about the year, but that date have really had very strong impact on my life. Also in witchcraft. It was 1st of November. And many things have happened 1st of November in my life. Anyway, so I mean, dramatic changes at that time of the year. So yeah, I went to that church. I was just sitting there. I didn't expect anything special. Sometimes I just liked some atmosphere or something, and also had some curiosity or questions or so. And I was sitting there, and that priest, I don't remember who that was, but everything he said it was directly to me. And I knew he was just doing his preaching thing, and no one else thought so, I think, or so on. But I started to cry like crazy, and I usually didn't at the time. Now I cry a lot, but sometimes less after doing this process with Munaki and eating well better and exercise and so on, actually. But still, at the time I was not crying almost ever. That was not like, I don't know, it was very odd for me to do that. But it was like a release of sorts. I don't know. It was not like sadness, or it was more of, I don't know, something special happened. And that, yeah, I can't describe it much. But, and those old ladies, they were mostly that in that church. And now it's an Orthodox, Russian Orthodox church. Anyways, they came and hugged me and were like so sweet, and I was a little bit shaken. I didn't know what to do with that, and I had this idea. Oh, this is about witchcraft, yeah. Actually, sorry, soon it will get there. I just wanted to tell you about the story there, and also I'm a spiritual anarchist, so never mind that. And also I won't read comments, so yeah. People will always, get mad in either direction, whatever you do, when it comes to these things. But anyways, I mean, then I've mentioned this before, but many things happened, and I've felt really, really strongly connected to that. And I also was really drawn to showing love to those you usually never think of that way, or rather you blame, or just they're also seen like disgusting or whatever. And so I thought about what would I do with my life, like, or, I don't know. I was sort of philosophical, and there was a teacher, Karin, that I still am in touch with. We have studied a lot. She has been traveling a lot in Israel and so on, and she knows a lot. We've studied the Old Testament together, and she's a religious teacher and have been so maybe always, and also she's Christian though, but that she grew up in Africa with missionary parents, and then she herself was lived many years of her life in India. Or was it the other way around, actually? Let's see. Maybe she actually grew up in India and was then missionary in Africa. I'm not sure now. I think actually the opposite around, because she adopted a boy from Africa, so later. But anyway, so, and then she lived here and taught religions and history and so on. And so from my curiosity, and I guess her will also to get me into the right path or something, which seemed to have been a bit difficult, I met her every week for a while. We were neighbors and just studied. I'm interested. This is the base of our culture, and so it's interesting to understand whatever you think of it. So, but this was just maybe like how many years ago? 5-10 years ago. So, but before then, I met her also when I was very young, and I said that I don't want to have any things. I just want to spread this. I just want to spread the love. I wanted like one pair of jeans, not a bookshelf. I was like, not that I was opposed things. It was almost like they would trap you. I felt like, no, I don't need that. All I want is to share these things that I discovered. And she tried to kind of calm me down and said, no, you don't need to do it that way. You can have a lot. They are like millionaires, actually. So you can have a lot, but still do this. And I was like in very much conflict in that, because not that I saw that it was wrong. It was just, I mean, it was out of joy that I wanted to do that, not to not have things. I didn't want to be weighed down by things. I didn't want to be trapped by things. That's what I felt. I felt that I would I will be absorbed by the things. They will like own me, and I will lose track. I will focus on the wrong things. Yeah, I felt that this. I was a little bit extreme, maybe, but that was not the only thing. I was quite a wild child, to say the least, that age. So, but there was a part of me there that woke up, and that I was really, really curious about. And anyways, at the time it was very, very dualistic. I saw it as a little bit black and white like that. And then, yeah, a lot of things happened. But also, I was drawn to this always. And I went 1 year also to Bible school, where we went to prison. I liked that actually mostly, I think. We went to prisons talking about that, and to schools, and it was really, I for one hate to be in that position where we were a few of us, so I was not alone, but still I did really dislike to be in that position where you kind of present something to an audience of sorts, aside from here. But anyways, but I liked that because it felt so crucial. I mean, it felt so very meaningful. I mean, not that I felt like I have the truth and that is what you should now get or something. It was like the communication, the questions, and the whole exploration from both ends, let's say. That was really rewarding. But in the classes, I had a lot of anxiety, and I mean, it was. I felt really different from some of my classmates. Some of them grew up as Christians then, and I felt I heard all those scriptures and everything in quite a different tone. And I think the teachers also, there were one who appreciated all my questions because I questioned everything. But most of them were a little bit irritated at me, I think. But yeah, his name was Lars Martin. I think he took it well anyways, and during the classes and so. But also then I got in contact with Heliga Birgitta, she's called in Sweden, where this got a long story. I was going to do this briefly. Well, I moved to that little city later on. I didn't know she was Swedish even. Holy, what do you say in English then? Holy Bridget? No, I don't know. Holy Birgitta. I don't know. Anyways, there was this quote that I still have that Bible with that quote written inside of it. That, thank you God for giving me the, how do you say this in English? Not the sadness maybe, but yeah, it gave me all these troubles kind of, because through that I know I'm your daughter. And I felt that every time when I was at the lowest, deepest dark. And I just swirled like in a universe where I felt nothing. I mean, it was like, yeah, I really felt lost in a way, in some sort of anxious, I don't know what, and I felt like a leaf floating around in the universe, kind of, and how this hand, let's say, of God or whatever, just I just landed there, So I didn't have to like have any care in the world. I could just let go. But anyways, I had so many questions, and also the conflict between that I often felt. I had pretty many friends that were both party people, let's say, but also those who were quite into drugs or so on, and I was always, maybe I was drawn always to the extreme of things. I was curious at that. And also there was this other side that I always felt the presence of the divine, if you call it that, the most when I was with those that were, if you should then measure it in a scale, would supposedly be seen as most far away. And that surprised me. And when I was like in church and so on, aside from that thing, that moment that I talked about, usually I actually felt more and more distant from it. And that also made me wonder, what is this? And not only that, I also, as I said, I got responses immediately on my prayers and everything, so that freaked me out. And I was so young, and I wanted to just be like anyone, and I wanted to I don't know, I couldn't see how that could fit into a normal way of being. Not that I was seeking some sort of normal, I don't know, but still, it felt really odd. I had no friends that I hung out with like that who were who saw what I saw or experienced what I did. So it felt difficult. Although the occult side, that I shared with several of my friends, though. But anyways, yeah. So I didn't know what to do, so I went to church, the missionary church again, but here in town, the pink, sweetly. By the way, there is a magazine called Vagabond, in Sweden, and there they talk about Skellefteå, this little town, and they are now building this culture house that will be the world's largest tree house. Not like in a tree, like it's a tree house like that, but built by with tree. That is like, I didn't even know. I think I've heard that, but when I read it now, I realized, oh. And also they talked about some other things here that are worth seeing or experiencing, like on a vacation or so on. They mentioned like 9 places in Scandinavia or so on. So it was fun that this was mentioned. Anyway, so this little pink missionary church, I went there, sat in the back and asked God to leave me. And afterwards, I told it to the priest. I don't know if he came by or and asked me, or if I said I wanted to talk to him or so on. And he said that you should probably not do that. But I felt like stalked by God almost. I felt like I could never be alone, always the communication. And like if I was asking for something in, let's say, prayer, even like a thought, and this had been going on now also, but still. Then if someone turned on the radio, something, I just heard the answer there. And it seems like, okay, this can be a mental thing. but it was actual things as well that others, like, that was impossible that they could happen just. So I could not like dismiss this thing, but still I felt like I didn't know how. I wanted to just live and have fun, and it was like difficult for me. I was really, it was, yeah. I haven't gotten rid of it still. I have it still, but I couldn't find my place in those boxes, let's say, of church or so on. So much. Anyways, so I asked God to leave me and leave me alone, and he did, or she, or whatever you call it. So I forgot about that somewhat. I just never mind. Anyways, later I got lost in the woods, actually, and then I screamed for this God that I had asked to leave me alone. I was angry, screaming, "You said you will show people the way in life. You can at least show me to the path." I was really pissed then. I was terrified and crying, and then I got really, really angry and screamed to the skies like, "You bastard," kind of thing. And I really used those kinds of words, even swear words. And then I had 2 dogs there also. But anyways, I was going to freeze to death. This was really cold and I couldn't find my way. I always walked in this forest, but I didn't find the way. And anyways, it was snowing heavily also, so I couldn't see the tracks where we had gone. Anyway, so I just stood up. I had been sitting there and suddenly crying. And then I stood up and just walked. And after like 20 meters or so, I was on the path that was leading home then. And I felt so small. And I said, "Oh, forgive me." Like, "Okay, thank you. And so I realized, okay, I need some guidance here. I maybe need this connection to the universal consciousness, or what you should call it. But then as years gone by and I was doing lots of other things, and also being always sidetracked by this, not sidetracked because you learn maybe something through it, obviously you're here to experience and live. I have been very absorbed by the guys that I've met, so that took a toll also in many ways. I've been somewhat dramatic and whatnot. So I guess this was always with me though. I mean, I didn't leave this. But later on I also felt that I had always also had not always, but kind of an openness to other things as well. But they taught that this was the right path still, so I thought maybe then it is, and I thought that it could help others to find that this is the right, So I was kind of narrow-minded in that way, and also I wanted to help a lot. But then when those showed up that were outcast, that it was seen like, or let's say, I asked to the God to show me someone that I could give this to, like love, or share this with. Not like love relationship, but like in this universal sense. And those who was like thrown in my path then, at me, so to speak, they were really those who were shunned at the time. One time it was like I see him sometimes, I always feel ashamed when I see him. He was then, I think he got sober after that, but he was, in that small environment, he was a kind of heavy alcoholic, and also gay man, living with another man, I think, or so. But he was really not, he was like frowned upon, you could say, at the time. And he was like, and I sent sort of in my way when I actually focused on that. And yeah, that's a little bit of a story itself. But I just realized then that no, I don't want to be connected to this person. And I was quite young then also, and he was way older. And nothing in that was, I didn't seek to be like glorified myself, but this was the opposite of it, truly. And this was, as I would assume, the true, I mean, that seem valid, that the the message that Jesus shared was like, so that was where he would have those he would embrace, those who were the outcast, or those who others did shun. So yeah, I kind of knew that then also, but I didn't want to be connected to that. I didn't want to be close to those people, or it was not that I judged that he was an alcoholic at all, or that he was a gay man, or his looks or whatever. It was more like how others would see me connected to those. And there were those, I mean, I had friends that took all kinds of drugs and did all kinds of things, but they were like a little bit cool, sort of, as I saw them, or at least when I was younger. And they were like, or good looking, or a certain, they had some sort of status in their ways still, while this man did not. Rather just, I can't say much more about that, but the thing is, my reaction when I asked to have someone to really share this with who needed it, I felt like, oh no, not him, like you, yeah, horrible. So I kind of backed away. But anyways, years went by, and this have always been with me, as I said. But I started to feel also, that was not my main focus, but it was there constantly. But I also started to feel that there was a lack, and I was longing for, I came from my ancestry on my father's side come from the Sami people, the natives of Sweden. And I felt that there was a lack here. I longed for those teachings, or the wisdom that was in those nature religions that also are so similar all over the world. So I thought there is some truth here that is missing, that we are missing out on. And so I began to explore. I couldn't find much about that, honestly, but the closest I could, there are those who get into witchcraft or Wicca. Witchcraft is the kind of the practical magic, the actual techniques or so on, while Wicca is in the form of a religion where you also use witchcraft, but you don't maybe necessarily have to, but yeah, it have some ethics and so on that witchcraft does not need to have. So anyways, when I explored a little bit, I found this Laurie Cabot's book, The Power of the Witch, in Vattumannen in Stockholm, I think, the book. And when I read it, it was also, actually they talked about chakras and such, which they later did not in the coven. They kept all those Eastern things away, and even shamanic, they tried to keep like clean from all other influences than just Wicca. But anyway, so it was a fairy Wicca coven that I come in contact with. Through that book, I think it was through that book, it was on this pagan federation that I wrote to and asked if there were anyone close by, and a woman from Finland answered, Kati Ma was her name, and talked about this coven in Stockholm then. And I got in touch with Laila Wiberg, the head priestess, or high priestess there, and also met her teacher, an Australian witch, Michael, and the coven and so on, and got taught in the coven later. But anyways, that was the closest I found to those roots. And to me it was really a positive thing, although some of my former Christian friends have been really upset with me and wanted to save me from all this, and I don't know, and thought I made some mean or evil choice, or anyways. And also, also those, some of the witches was, and still is here on as well, can be upset that I still embrace and honor those first truths that I found, which has also been with me ever since. They have never not been, just because this added to it. But they don't see how that can be, because of the whole one God or several gods, and there are all kinds of things that make it impossible for others to see how I can embrace that and see it together. But to me, it's mystical. It's a mystical path, and it's like filters you can see the divine through. So whatever you call it and however it's not like dogmas, and it doesn't have to be to me. But anyway, so I found some of the roots there that I had missed out on. I felt the closeness to Mother Earth, and so much, and also how much it went hand in hand with my own process of being anchored in my body more and more and more and more. And the sacred feminine have been really processed. The masculine was way closer to me, even in witchcraft. Many seek that path, maybe out of rebellion sometimes, because it feels like it protests or like they rebel against these other things. But to me it was not that at all. It was like seeking the roots and those nature-based religions. I wanted to learn from them. And also I knew about the powers we have. I had practiced magic before, or occult things, so I knew that there is so much more to explore and to learn here. So that was also a curiosity and a knowing in that, and that I wanted to learn from those who actually know how to do these things. So it was awesome and magical to do that. And but then I had a lot of problems with food, as I still this Christmas I went a little bit overboard again. And today I've started to get on track more and more again now, because I was way on track before, and it was awesome. And then I went out eating with my brother at this hockey rink, this arena and I had this super nice cookie afterwards with cream, and no, I should have let it go. I thought, okay, how much strength do I have here? But it was not. It was like tiny, apparently. But yeah, okay, I will take new steps in that direction. But anyways, so I had such problems with numbing myself with food, and there were a lot of things. And so I felt it was a little bit chaotic. I was on this treatment center, anorexia center in Varberg, and I felt like I was so overwhelmed by everything. And the practice and the teachings, although I could have paused them in the coven, I still felt that it was really a pressure, that I still felt stressed, even if I could pause it for however long I wanted and jump on it later, to go further on this with these teachings. But I felt that, and also I felt that the Fairy Weekend Coven, that narrow path was not mine. I'm way too eclectic. I was always drawn to. I worked with Kuan Yin a lot, very Eastern, and also Shiva Shakti. I was really drawn to Kali. I was advised to avoid her. I did, though. I avoided her quite some, but still I was really drawn to the Eastern and the Hindu teachings, and mainly Tantra, not as the sexual Tantra specifically, but the tantric people who lived out in graveyards, and those who could see the divine in the worst of situations and places, kind of that kind of practice. It was so much with that. When I read about that, I was living at the library almost and read those religious history books. I have not read a lot of Wiccan books or witchy books, but those, I studied those. I was so curious about all kinds of things, and that really made sense to me. And it still does. And so I decided to stop, not to go out of the coven then. And I don't think that was very appreciated. They really gave for free also everything, these teachings, and I would always give that for free as well myself, and therefore also I want to share it with you, some of it, and also things I've learned afterwards, and so on. I have worked mainly solitary. Anyway, so yeah. So then I went into Zen. I had always also been drawn to Buddhism, and touched on to lots of New Agey stuff, like, if you could call it that, like Tai Chi, like the Course of Miracles, somewhat, and some other things. I had been touching on to a lot of what is her name now? What is her name now? She wrote a lot of books. Shakti Gawain, yeah. And we did some meditations and stuff, and I had been like into some of that, but it was really confusing to me at the time. I didn't even know what intuition was. Impulsiveness. I kind of, if I felt really compassion or worry about something, or impulsively thought something, I thought that maybe was intuition. I had no connection as such at the time, so I could discern what was what, really. But I realized that pretty early that my thoughts had strong impact on the whole world's reaction to me. So I kind of did mantras before I knew mantras existed. But I kept some word that I knew what it existed in my mind then. And I realized, wow, it totally changed the world or the environment. And I don't have to change anything else than keeping whatever word I keep as a mantra in my mind will really make me probably act different, be different, and then others respond differently. So that I realized early on, without knowing really what to do with that. But I did those things a little bit compulsively, because then the felt like a word was like drained out, I kind of needed to find a new word. So I had these word books where I kind of was looking for something that I could work with, so to speak, as a mantra. But I held on to those words very much. Anyway, so yeah. Then Zen. Tibetan Buddhism was also very close to my heart. Related to both the witches, the magical teachings, and the whole way of viewing things. I felt so connected, and there was very strong compassion, and Kuan Yin not least, when I worked with her more intensely than I do now. I have a statue of her, and I have some frame, those whatever that I have up with her, and so she's present, but I don't work with her as intently as I did. Maybe I should do that again. I don't know. She's close by though. But at the beginning, the female, many who, as I said, I was beginning to say, many are drawn to witchcraft maybe because of rebellion or so on, or maybe just to maybe explore the cult or so. But there are also those who can't identify with or find some. They see it seems like there is no red thread, or it seems really clueless, the more so-called masculine path. And so they really are drawn to the goddess and the concept of that and what that would mean, and even the earth maybe or so on, but as a mother. So but to me that was really vague, and I didn't understand that, so it took me a long time before I connected to the feminine, and in me as well. So it had been a very long process. Kernonos, the horned god, have been my closest ally, and he is still very, very close also, and very close to Shiva to me. He is also the lord of the animals and all that. So yeah, so much to say, but yeah, this have been my path. And then I started to study Zen. Tibetan Buddhism similarly. I mean, it was more of an active thing, and maybe I felt more connected to the Tibetan actually. But I needed some peace, and I went into those Zazen I learned from Stockholm Zen Center. I learned Zazen and was meditating every day, a couple of days, 20 minutes a day or so, at least, sitting in Zazen and just like beingness. Because I also had developed quite some gifts. I could control my dreams when I was sleeping. There were so much things that woke up at that time, and the magical also. When I practiced magic, I saw instant effects that also scared me a bit. The power of it was like it came very quickly, and I realized, oh, wow, this is real, and it really influences the outside world. And so I think it was also the pace. I think it was too quick for me, everything that I discovered. So I kind of needed to calm it down, I felt. So yeah, so I went into that and did that for, as I said before in videos, like maybe 6 months at least. I don't know if it was longer, but it really made me stable and steady. It really helped in many kind of ways, and I should go back to that somewhat. I don't need to do exactly that, but it was really stabilizing. And also the difference from going into those visualizations and be like drawn into other dimensions and all that, the difference with just being and letting everything go on and not be pulled in, just the awareness, the clarity of that was like amazing. Yeah, and then what happened then? I got really, really ill. Also, there was some guys here and there that took some attention. But then I got really sick, and then I listened to this Koge Hammaris' cardinal, is he called? What? No, I don't know, but his a priest, like a head priest in this Swedish church. I read a book, but I think it was there on those health places, because I was extremely ill, and suddenly I kind of remember that I lost my. I recall that I thought, oh, I forgotten everything that is important. My close ones. I hadn't met any in my family for several years, like 3 years or so, and I didn't have much of contact. I have stopped celebrating like Christmas and birthdays or so. Also, I was a little bit suicidal at the time, so I thought I was compassionate, just taking some of those things away first, so they wouldn't miss me as much if I then wouldn't be around. I had some sort of a long plan there, but anyway, so I thought if I can't stand to live, then I could adjust them to it slowly. But anyway, so then I realized that, gosh, I have forgotten everything that is my spirituality was like the central thing, and then the close ones, yeah. And so I kind of, by getting so sick, I kind of recovered from all I was really going to those self-help stuff that really made me more confused in many ways, I would say, and also drained and stressed, and I don't know, it also gave me something, I have to say, in some part of the path that was also helpful, yes, for sure. But anyways, it was like I was really numbed and also really heavy into sugars and stuff. And when I mean heavy into that, I can describe that in some other video if you like, but that is really, really, really sick. Like worst drug addict, but sugar. I was so ill. And desperate and compulsive. So it was like, it was totally crazy, and I didn't know how to deal with that. But I didn't understand why I reacted like I did and anything. Anyways, so I got really ill, apparently after eating, as I did also, and almost dying. And this was like an initiation, a shamanic initiation by nature, sort of, because then all this remote viewing opened up everything like quickly. I was really, I realized how psychic I am. I have always felt like others' pain and some other things. I kind of knew it, but I wouldn't call me that because I thought it was like bragging. Then it became so clear, so I could not avoid it. It was like so apparent. So, okay, then this is how it is. And so I thought I would die, and afterwards I heard that also doctors and so on thought later. I mean, after I recovered some year ago, after that or so, started to recover. They said that they thought I wouldn't manage, and also they said to me straightforward, even when I was sick, that you would always have to go on medication and you will never get well, and so. But I got well, and then I practiced walking meditations and so on, and because I had so low energy, I couldn't do anything else really. I was really weak and sick. I almost couldn't talk. I had this very, very soft, no, I don't have a soft voice, but because it was so straining for my energy to talk, so it took so much energy to talk, so I just had like a weak voice and didn't say many words because I didn't have the energy to. It was horrible, and yeah. Anyways, I prepared to die at the time. So I did a lot of Buddhist mantras, and I was kind of ready. I just asked for a little bit more time to get ready, but I feel still like I am ready, because I started to appreciate every morning, every second that I could still be alive and see the trees and everything. I was so appreciative. Then I forgot that when I got better, but I got well. Totally well, which they said I would never be, but it took some years. And I thought I would never go back to my crazy eating, which I did after another divorce and whatnot. But there are other things in there also that I've found, like Spinoza, for example, is one of my loves. He's like, never mind, he's a philosopher, but he kind of talks about God, but in a special way, and he uses logic in his ways of describing it, but it's very beautiful. But anyway, so what else happened then? Where am I? Also, I moved back here up north in Sweden and stumbled upon Ayurveda, which she who teaches that wanted to. I had no money to go there, and I couldn't get anything from the. You could borrow money to go other educations of sorts. And by the way, I've also gone to Waldorf education, like Waldorf teacher. I didn't finish that though because I was so very ill. But that was also special when it comes to sacred geometry and everything you have classes in. How awesome. Now I realize how awesome that is. Then I questioned everything, as I always did and does. But so then, and I knew I was really psychic then, but people doubted that I met usually, because they thought you should be in a certain way to be that, Anyway, so then I, because also many in those areas of spirituality, they kind of see that as, wow, do you have that gift? Like, oh, wow. But then if you are like not that type of personality they can look up to and put that kind of shimmer onto, then that could not really be, right? And it still is. Yeah. Anyway, so whatever happened then. Then this teacher in Ayurveda, she said about, she really wanted me to, it's for you should go. And I said, so she almost like, she didn't give it, I could pay it back later in whatever amount I wanted to. But still, she really, really wanted to give me access to it. And I'm so grateful to her for doing that. And also in the same time frame or sorts, I came in contact, or a little bit later, with Kundalini yoga, and yoga is also part of the Ayurveda. But this also felt really, it really matched so well all the things that I had learned in also in witchcraft, and my always the connection to the Hindu or Shiva Shakti and all that. So it was very easy for me to embrace this. And there, so I became an Ayurveda therapist, and that's what I wanted to use this channel for. But I haven't. I have done other things apparently here. I will go into Ayurveda more here as well. Because I just love it. I love it so very much. And I think my path isn't over, but maybe someone is coming, then I have to stop now. But I will continue later on. Then I stumbled upon Munaki, which is kind of the... No, it was someone else. I also knew that actually I came in contact with, and Reiki in between here, and also chakra flow and all stuff. There is a lot of things that I came in contact with between, like stuff that more maybe belong to what you would call the New Age maybe or so. And I was always skeptical about the New Age because of the whole guru thing and the whole money thing and all that. So, but all the things that came across me, I was given freely. So, and also my interest have been so strong. So I think the universe had known that she really want this, and then it have been raining that on me. But keep raining men now. No, just kidding. Anyways, no, I don't want that. Gosh, how horrible if this was raining, man. But then, one of my teachers in actually the Reiki, but that I came in contact with that quite early when I was 20 something, and Annie Ekeberg, she initiated me to that. And then when I went to Waldorf many years later, this Solveig Varic initiated me in 2nd grade, and Annie in the 3rd grade, master grade later on as well. But anyways, it was several years in between these initiations. Usually they are a little bit quicker, but Solveig Varic, she owned the school. She and her husband, the Waldorf school, the Waldorf teacher school. They taught teachers, those who will become teachers in it. And she was doing these arithmetics. Oh, how fun. And also so symbolic. I mean, I have experienced a lot of awesome things. You just have to experience them to know. And she was really good at that. And so she came in contact with Munaki and these teachings. But I was not really into that so much. I mean, I didn't know what it was. I just heard that she went to Peru and learned from those and all that, and she was really absorbed by it. I knew that, but that was mainly what I knew. But then, being so sick many years later, I channeled Pachamama. And it was actually before then, when I was really sick. I also saw Jesus coming saying things. He showed up in my room saying things to me. So, and also he confirmed that I don't need to narrow myself down. I think he wanted to encourage me to trust my truth. I don't need to listen to everyone who says, "Oh, it's wrong, it's evil, and you have to be this or that." And the things he showed me made me really relaxed in the face of others' criticism and so on. And anyways, and I was not drugged, and I was awake. I was going to rest at the afternoon because I was quite weak at the time. But still, I saw him clearly and have that written down also clear what he said. And so, anyways. Then maybe, I don't know how long after, but I lived in the same apartment there. I was also just going to relax, and then I experienced a lot of things, just past lives and whatnot, because I was really in a fragile state, you can say. So I was really open, but And they started to show me even yoga positions that were healthy to do and so on. So, I mean, the guides. But then I channeled Pachamama, and I didn't really know who she was, like Mother Earth is that in the Muneki. And the surprising thing was she was like coming through my crown chakra. I thought that consciousness would like come from beneath, but you can feel her from your feet as well. But anyways, so she kind of took over. I had never experienced that before or after, actually, being kind of possessed, you could say, but it was a beautiful and lovely experience, and I could still ask her to stop, but I let her keep on. She wanted to tell me everything and share about herbs, and and she said so many things and gave messages to others who had been problems for a long time, and also show some small yoga practices or some things that could help, and those advices that I gave made people well instantly that have been sick for like 20-30 years, like, and so on. So that was so awesome. And then so I knew this is my path. I knew that I'm going to be initiated in this. We will see when. And it took some years again before I have been initiated in these 9 rites several times now. But and also this autumn I met this little Mama Selmira, who had worked like a shaman in the Brazil rainforest for 60 years. She started practicing when she was, I think, 10. I think she was too young when she wanted to. Maybe it took some years after that. And it was, she really changed a lot for me, and yeah, such an experience. Yeah, I will keep her in my heart forever. Oh yeah. But yeah, so anyways, I've started also this, it's now that I started to also teach certain things like tarot and so on. I mean, during witchcraft and in the concept of witchcraft or Wicca, there is so many things to learn and get into. So it's like overwhelming. Each of the topics you can learn, they themselves are endless, sort of. And also there are immense things you can go into. So I haven't explored each of those, everything in depth, but still I can briefly, I guess, talk about all of things, more or less. But Monarchy is what I practice now, and also I've taught a bit to those interested, doing this medicine wheel as well as I do it myself, which is inspiring. It's more inspiring to not do it only by yourself also. And also it keeps you on track, kind of. I could easily drift off and do something else, So, yeah, that is where I am right now. So, I work with I do psychic readings, mediumship readings. I can do a lot of things, a lot of more things, but that is the main thing that I have as an offer to anyone who wants me to do it for a minor price. And the shamanic and the witchy things I would always do for free, though. And maybe there could be some exchange. That is how, but yeah, it would not be a demand to be able to get it, though. But yeah, so that's where I am, and to me that is also the same. This shamanic path is this. You work with this. You heal the sacred. The masculine and the feminine within as well. And so everything goes together for me, although it seems like a mishmash and lots of paths or threads to other ones maybe, but it's not so messy. And also my mother's grandmother, her name was Star, and I took her name. I don't know now if it was, maybe it was this summer that was when I got that name. Yeah, I think maybe it was. So my name is now like almost like Starhawk was the first Wicca book that I read that I was recommended by the coven then as to begin practice, and her spiral dance. And now my name is kind of Starhawk, you could say, because my name is rather Falcon, but anyways, I have 2 last names. So that's kind of fun also. I didn't think about that then, but the star in many ways also in tarot, and it have so many meanings to me, and it's so beautiful. And also this ancestor, my mother's grandma, she was really maybe she wouldn't call herself a witch, but she could stop blood flow, as her son, my granddad, also could, and I can. And she could, she was really magical. She had a lot of those practices. Oftentimes, like in hoodoo, they were like infused with Jesus and Mother Mary and so on. But she did a lot of magical practices, and it is such an honor to have her last name, because she was so magical. So this is like the basic that I wanted to say about my little path. So if I drift into and talk suddenly about monarchy and about I should do certain ones that are really focused on each of those paths also, actually, because they are worth it. You can go however deep in those, and I don't think that although I feel that monarchy is the path for me that I will do forever, kind of, but I will also do all these other things forever, sort of. They are the same to me. Still, I think those who stay with one of these, they can still, if they go in depth in that and they find what they seek there, that they can. It is there. It's everywhere if we're just open to it. And then other things also have happened lately with the whole world. My whole perspective of what's going on in the world, and when you hear news, and you see through certain agendas or scams going on, which is absolutely surprising and have rocked my world and turned things upside down a whole lot for me, that I really don't. It's very surprising to me, yeah, and also very uplifting. That I can't believe how you could have been so blind so long, or how I could have been then. But when it comes to this path, and also the anarchy path, if you would call it, or the anarchy vision, I would say, which is the most beautiful one that I have come across. That is also quite new, but so, it's so deep in me. That's just, I didn't know that it had a name, the things the values I held. And I didn't understand that could be a vision even, that could really exist. I thought it was, I didn't think anarchy meant what it mean, actually, I think, so. And that's the way how I work with these spiritual things as well. It's a co-creation, and it's communication, and a communion even sometimes. And still I like to go to church, by the way. Also, I listen to layers when I hear them talk. Not only the surface thing, as well as loving to be on those power places, which often those larger churches, they are built on those former power places in nature as well. So I kind of filter through. I pick up maybe other things than others hear or see there. So yeah. Anyways, I've said all of this before, but I wanted to kind of get it into a video, and wanted to start talking about witchcraft, because this is one of my treasures that I have to share. And And I think it's lovely and beautiful, and those who seek it should have access to it. But it's easier if you should teach someone to teach one to, personally, because you know where that other person are and what they are ready to, what happens to them. You can kind of follow them closely like that. But on all of these paths, it comes from within. It's not a missionary religion. Witchcraft isn't a religion, it's a practice. But Wicca then, it's not missionary. Those who seek it, and then they do the job to continue on that path. You can assist them with information or practices to go further and to deepen your understanding. And so you can also divide it, like as I do. I teach tarot, which is also maybe part of that path. Maybe it could be anyways, and it doesn't have to be. But you can also teach several things. Just you can pick it out and teach it, like the auras or whatever. But the energy work, that is what it is about, really, mainly so. Yeah. So that's what I want to do for just now and then. Probably I won't say anything. I don't want to make promises I don't hold, because I know I can sway back and forth. But I think that I will at least do it once a month, maybe every day, depending on the time and the inspiration. But my aim, rather, is to continue doing this, so I can share certain things with you. And feel free to comment, although I don't read or respond to them. I still appreciate it. And thanks for likes and subscribes and so on. Yeah. And we will see where we get together, and later on maybe I will start reading comments again. We will see. Right now this feels awesome to not do that. Yeah. So, of course I'm curious, and of course I want to hear your side of things and so on, but for now I maybe should just give you what I have, and hope that it gives you something. So this was like an intro to that. Rather odd intro to witchcraft. But yeah, so I will talk about that later. And also I consider myself a Wiccan for a very long time, which is then, that includes certain ethics and ways of seeing things that I realized that I could not keep, which, for example, never to harm. And it's rather difficult in any case, because you always kind of do in one way or another, maybe. But it depends what you mean with that. You don't have to go to extremes with that either. I mean, intently harm someone. But then also I realized this black and white way of seeing things is really, really difficult, because there can be situations where someone or you, whatever happens, needs some protection. And do you actually know how you would react, or what your standpoint would be in that situation? And are you sure you wouldn't use any means if you had them? I mean, it's easy to say all those things as long as you don't have the power, as long as you don't know how to affect things. Then you can, do that. But if you're able to stop certain things, or if you're, But yeah, so I don't exactly call myself a Wiccan still. Rather a witch then. I don't really call myself anything much, but I need to call myself like a shaman and a medium and psychic and so on, because I do that kind of work. Otherwise people wouldn't know what I do. I work with energy and that, and communication with the spirit world and so. And as a witch, I practice magic. Yeah. Not only that, that's so much more included in that. And since I started on the path of Wicca, that is my comfort zone, let's say. No, that's my cozy place, sort of. But having those abilities, having discovered and developed certain abilities, I also know that I can't trust myself to always, in every situation, to keep to those ethics. I wish that I maybe was like a bodhisattva and was able to have that perspective, but not yet anyways. But that's where I want to be. And so maybe I will also talk about the whole principles within Wicca, and so more, yeah, because it's it's an awesome path, I think, yeah. And the Theosophy and Waldorf and all that is also really, really wonderful to explore. There is a lot there, which is also connected to some of the Hindu teachings and so on. So even there, many of the paths just were interlaced, or if you say, or so on. Yeah, I need to stop now then. I just wanted to briefly say what I wanted to talk about and where I come from. Kind of. So you don't wonder why I mix everything into this. I know it will bother some people, and that's okay. I don't say that I'm right. I just have my experiences, and I will not deny those. And I don't expect anyone or others to agree with me or them. I totally think that anyone should embrace their own experiences and follow their path, whatever that is, and what that lead them to, or yeah. I just want to share mine. So yeah. So I will end now and probably get back soon. And I wish you a great day. And if I get some comments, I see the comments without seeing what it says. I see that I get comments. Then I will pick some cards that you can choose from. Maybe sometimes also I will make the effort to actually pull cards when you see them, instead of just picking cards and reading them for you and describing them, kind of, because that's just laziness, because otherwise I need to mix the video and sounds again. It takes much longer time, so just that's why. But I will someday, maybe often, who knows. That was that for now. Yeah. Take care. Maybe I will read comments once a year or something. I wonder when is the best time then. 1st of November maybe. So Wayne. Then let it die away, Embrace the new. Yeah, who knows. Well, love, much love, as I used to say, but really, much love to all of you. We all deserve it. We can't be anywhere else than where we are. We can't be aware or conscious. Have developed our consciousness more than we have. So whatever our choices are and however we see things, it's not really, that's also one thing that I love with Baruch Spinoza, the philosopher, the way he sees things, like there is no need for blame. It doesn't really add to anything. Yeah. We are where we are. So much love to everyone. And now I have to stop. Bye for now.